Hello and welcome to the first ever episode of Top Bin Banter, the only football show that makes more sense after a couple of pints. I'm your host Baz, and I'm joined by the brains trust of our operation.
I'm Simon, here to cut through the noise with the numbers that matter.
And I'm Sophie, ready to offer a different angle on the beautiful game. It's great to be here.
Let's get right into it then. The Premier League last night was a cracker. And we have to start with the big one. Arsenal absolutely dismantled Aston Villa, 4-1. Gabriel Jesus was on fire, scoring 2 times. But honestly, Villa defended like they'd just come back from the pub with me. It was a shambles, shocking stuff.
It was more than shocking, Baz. It was statistically abysmal. Arsenal controlled 68% of the possession and had a staggering 22 shots. Villa, by contrast, managed just 3 shots on target all game. You can't even compete with a disparity like that.
Right, but while they look electric going forward, there's an alternative perspective. I'm still not sold on their title credentials because their defensive transitions still leak goals. They conceded again last night from a simple turnover. That underlying pattern is what could ultimately cost them the league against the very top sides.
Always finding that tactical cloud, Sophie. Let's move on. Chelsea versus Bournemouth, a 2-2 draw. And I'm not kidding, Chelsea's defense looks like a game of musical chairs where everyone loses. There's no cohesion.
The numbers are damning. They've conceded 28 goals already this season. For the money spent, that's not top 4 form, it's mid-table defending.
And if you want to see the opposite approach, let's pivot to Brighton. Under Fabian Hurtzler, they gave 18% of their total minutes to academy graduates last season. That's how you build a club with an identity. That's sustainability.
That's brilliant. Brighton's kids are like the Avengers, assembled for a purpose. Chelsea? They're a billion-pound Marvel spin-off nobody asked for. And speaking of Brighton, they were in a cracking 2-2 draw with West Ham. Both sides showed real attacking intent, trading blows, but neither could land the knockout punch.
And my thought on that one is that while Brighton get the plaudits, West Ham under Graham Potter are quietly reinventing themselves. This isn't just a defensive side anymore. Bowen and Paquetá are becoming the creative heartbeat of that team, playing with a freedom we haven't seen before.
Let's finish the roundup at Old Trafford. Manchester United's 1-1 draw with Wolves was frankly embarrassing. Wolves had 9 shots on target to United's 3 at home. That's a damning statistic.
It really is. And Ruben Amorim's press conference afterwards was so telling. He sounded like a man trying to convince himself more than the fans. The body language, the tone, it was all wrong. He looked out of ideas.
He looked defeated. You almost hate to see it. Well, unless you're not a United fan, in which case it's pretty funny.
All right, let's move on to a segment I'm calling Mainstream Misses, where we highlight a story the big outlets overlooked. This week, it's Everton's 2-0 away win at Nottingham Forest.
A gritty win. I saw the result, but what's the story?
The story is in the details. Everyone saw the score, but they missed the why. Everton's analyst team identified a specific flaw in Forest's buildup. They noticed one of their midfielders almost always turned onto his stronger foot, so they tweaked the team's pressing triggers just before the match to force him onto his weaker side. That tiny change led directly to the turnovers for both goals.
Now that is brilliant. The geeks in the back room with the laptops getting it done. Those analysts deserve a pint. That's proper football intelligence.
And the data tells the whole story. Forest had 65% possession, but it was sterile dominance. They managed only 2 shots on target. Everton let them have the ball in non-threatening areas and executed a perfect tactical plan. It was efficiency at its finest.
Exactly. And this is why it's a miss. The mainstream story around Everton is always about financial chaos and points deductions. But their real identity on the pitch isn't chaos. It's survival, intelligence, and tactical grit.
All right, time for a bit of fun. Let's open the Legends transfer window. We're picking one club legend to drop into a current team to fix their biggest problem. Simon, Sophie, let's start with Manchester United. My pick is easy. Bring back Roy Keane. They need that fire.
I can quantify that need. In his prime, Roy Keane averaged 3.2 successful tackles per game. The entire current United midfield barely hits 1.5 combined. He provides the steel and discipline they are desperately missing.
Here's another way to look at it. They need Rio Ferdinand more. The crisis at United isn't effort, it's organization. Their defensive structure is non-existent. Rio's composure and leadership from the back would transform the entire team, not just the midfield.
Ooh, I like that. All right, quick fire for the rest. Chelsea need a focal point and a killer instinct? It has to be Drogba. Manchester City look vulnerable on set pieces sometimes. Their fix is Vincent Kompany for his aerial dominance and leadership.
And for Brighton, who create so many beautiful chances but lack a ruthless finisher, give them Glenn Murray. He'd scored 20 goals just by standing in the 6-yard box.
Let's get to our interactive fan segment. First up is Truth Serum, and this is a spicy one. Is Erling Haaland making Manchester City less fluid? Simon, what do the numbers say?
From a purely data-driven perspective, the answer is yes. Before Haaland, City's average passing sequence in the final third was nearly 12 passes long. This season, it's dropped to 9. They are more direct and more focused on getting him the ball. That is, by definition, less fluid.
But I think fluidity isn't the problem. Predictability is the real issue. With a false 9, you never knew where the final shot was coming from. Now you always know the final target is Haaland. Elite defenses can build a game plan around stopping one man. So the danger isn't that they're less fluid, it's that they've become more predictable.
Great point. All right, lightning round time. Quick answers only. First one, Arsenal's title charge, real or fake?
Real.
Fake.
Is the Chelsea chaos fixable this season?
Not fixable. Yes, if Maresca finally trusts his youth players.
Final one, the United crisis. Is Amorim the problem?
The stats say yes, he is underperforming.
I think he's a symptom. The board politics and recruitment failures matter more.
All right, let's broaden our horizons and take a look at what's happening in European football. Over in Spain, both Real Madrid and Barcelona dropped points this weekend. Simon, what's going on with the big two? Both looked surprisingly toothless. Real Madrid were held by Rayo Vallecano despite having 70% possession, and Xavi's Barcelona only managed 2 shots on target against Getafe. Their expected goals metric is significantly down from last season.
But the story here isn't that the Giants are failing, it's that the league is becoming more competitive. The real headline is Girona. They're playing a high-risk, high-reward system under Michel that is genuinely exciting. breakout stars like Artem Dovvik, who is a classic number 9, and Miguel Gutierrez, who is basically a playmaker from left back, are making them the team to watch.
So you're telling me we should be watching Girona instead of the usual El Clasico soap opera?
100%. They are the most tactically interesting team in Spain.
Love it. What about Italy? Is anyone challenging Inter?
Not for the title. Inter are dominant. But the real story is the race for the Champions League spots, and the surprise package is Bologna.
Yes, Thiago Motta has performed a miracle there. They use a fluid 4-2-3-1 system where players constantly rotate positions. It's incredibly difficult to defend against, and players like Joshua Zirkzee have been absolute revelations.
And it's built on a rock-solid foundation. They have the third-best defensive record in Serie A. They press intelligently and concede very few high-quality chances. It's a completely sustainable model of success. Before we get to the final punch, let's hop over the channel to France. Ligue 1 often gets labeled a farmers' league just because of PSG's dominance. Is that fair? Is there anything interesting happening beyond the Parisians?
Numerically, the one-team league argument holds up. PSG's wage bill is more than the next 5 clubs combined, and they've won the title in 9 of the last 11 seasons. That level of financial disparity is hard to argue with. They dominate every attacking metric, from shots on target to goals scored.
But that's where the mainstream analysis stops. If you look below PSG, you'll find one of the most interesting tactical battles in Europe. Take Brest, for example. They are second in the league on a shoestring budget. Eric Roy has them playing a compact, disciplined 4-4-2 that is incredibly difficult to break down. It's a masterclass in getting the maximum out of your squad.
So, it's a bit like the Everton story we talked about earlier, finding clever ways to win against the financial giants.
Exactly. And it's not just Brest. Lille, under Paulo Fonseca, are playing some of the most attractive, possession-based football on the continent. They build from the back with such precision. So while PSG might win the league, the race for the Champions League places is where the real tactical innovation is happening.
Fantastic stuff. All right, let's wrap things up with our closing punch. My memes of the week have to be the clips of United fans booing their own players, the ridiculously over-the-top Arsenal fan edits on TikTok after every win, and of course, the constant stream of Chelsea fan meltdowns online. Never fails to entertain. For next week's watch list, I've got my eye on Leeds versus Arsenal at Elland Road. That atmosphere is a cauldron. It's a huge test of nerve for a team with title aspirations.
And my one to watch is Sunderland versus Manchester City at the Stadium of Light. A cold Tuesday night up north against a fired-up home crowd? It has giant killing potential written all over it. It's a classic banana skin.
Love a potential upset. And on that note, that brings our first ever episode to a close. From the stats that make you think, to the tactics you might have missed, and the banter that hopefully made you laugh, this is what Top Bin Banter is all about. A massive thank you to the ever-insightful Simon and Sophie.
A pleasure.
Loved it.
You can find us on all the socials to continue the conversation. Let us know what you think. We'll be back next week to break down all the action from the football world. Until then, take care.